What if one single moment in the year quietly reshapes the behavior of animals, the glow of oceans, and even the stability of the air around you, without most people ever noticing? Welcome to Relaxing Facts Studio, where we slow down the world just enough to reveal the hidden patterns behind it. Today, we explore the spring equinox, not as a myth, but as a precise alignment of natural systems, subtle shifts, and fascinating scientific realities. From light and atmosphere to life beneath the surface, each detail connects in ways that feel almost unreal, yet remain grounded in science. Stay with us and let the quiet complexity of nature unfold. An ordinary egg rests on a flat surface, its curved shell appearing too unstable to stand upright. Yet, with a slight adjustment, it settles into balance. The explanation begins with the center of mass, a quiet point within the egg where weight distributes evenly. When that point aligns directly over a stable base, even a rounded object can remain still. Subtle friction between the shell and the surface adds resistance, while tiny imperfections, almost invisible, create natural contact points that support balance. You might notice something here. No specific date is required. The idea that this only works during the spring equinox returns each year, often supported by carefully timed videos and shared experiences. Social media cycles reinforce the pattern, while confirmation bias quietly does the rest, encouraging people to remember successful attempts and overlook the ones that didn't hold. In controlled settings, eggs have been balanced successfully on many different days under ordinary conditions. A steady hand helps, but so do environmental details that often go unnoticed. Slight humidity can increase surface grip. A textured table provides more subtle points of contact. Even faint vibrations in the room can shift the outcome, sometimes just enough to interrupt the balance. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment. What feels tied to a specific moment is often the result of small physical factors aligning quietly at once. The Earth moves along its orbit with a steady tilt, and at a specific point in that motion, the Sun appears to cross the celestial equator, creating what is known as the spring equinox. At this moment, sunlight is distributed more evenly between the northern and southern hemispheres, giving the impression of equal day and night across much of the planet. The balance feels precise, almost symmetrical, yet something subtle happens here. The equality is not exact. You might notice that daylight often lasts a few minutes longer than night. This comes from atmospheric refraction, where the Earth's atmosphere bends incoming sunlight slightly before it reaches the surface. As a result, the Sun appears above the horizon even when it is geometrically just below it. Combined with how sunrise and sunset are measured from the upper edge of the Sun rather than its center, this creates a small but consistent difference. Cultural interpretations have long described the equinox as a moment of perfect balance, sometimes linked to unusual physical effects or rare natural behaviors. These ideas circulate widely, often returning each year in familiar ways, yet measured observations show a more gradual and predictable process, shaped by orbital mechanics and atmospheric physics rather than sudden shifts. It's worth pausing on that distinction. Unlike solstices, where solar energy is concentrated more heavily in one hemisphere, the equinox represents a transition point. Solar radiation spreads more evenly, softening temperature contrasts and guiding seasonal change. The environment responds quietly, not through abrupt transformation, but through a steady adjustment that unfolds over time. Daylight begins to stretch a little longer each day, and across forests, coastlines, and open skies, animals respond in quiet, coordinated ways. The change is guided by photoperiodism, a biological process where shifting light exposure influences internal hormones. As sunlight increases, signals move through the brain and endocrine system, adjusting sleep cycles, feeding patterns, and reproductive timing. Something subtle happens here, not all at once, but with steady precision. Birds in migration begin to recalibrate their routes, using a combination of solar position and the Earth's magnetic field. You might notice how flocks adjust direction with quiet accuracy, even when landscapes below remain unchanged. Internal navigation systems respond to light cues, helping maintain orientation across long distances. At the same time, energy levels rise, supported by longer foraging periods and improved access to food sources. Breeding cycles also align with these changes. Many species rely on specific daylight thresholds to trigger reproductive behavior, ensuring that offspring arrive during periods of greater environmental stability. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as timing becomes a form of survival shaped by generations of adaptation. On the ground, animals emerging from winter dormancy begin to move more frequently. Small mammals leave burrows, insects reappear, and subtle sounds return to the landscape. Activity increases gradually, not as a sudden shift, but as a layered response to light, temperature, and resource availability. A quiet detail worth noticing is how these patterns overlap, creating a sense of renewed motion that feels synchronized, even though each species follows its own internal rhythm. Bioluminescent waters shift gently along the shoreline as microscopic marine organisms release light through chemical reactions inside their cells. A molecule called luciferin interacts with oxygen, producing a soft glow that spreads through the water when the organisms are disturbed. Something subtle happens here, where movement in the ocean transforms invisible life into visible patterns of light. Along certain coastlines, this glow appears more noticeable during seasonal transitions when water conditions begin to change. Slight shifts in temperature can influence the distribution of plankton, while variations in nutrient levels support short-lived blooms. These blooms concentrate bioluminescent organisms closer to the surface, creating areas where the water seems to respond to motion with soft illumination. You might notice how tides play a quiet role in this process. As water moves in and out, it stirs nutrients from deeper layers, bringing them into contact with surface ecosystems. This gentle mixing can enhance biological activity, especially in regions already rich in marine life. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as the ocean's rhythm directly shapes what becomes visible on the surface. Light conditions also matter in a subtle way. In areas with low light pollution, the glow becomes easier to perceive, especially during darker nights when natural illumination is minimal. In contrast, artificial lighting near coastal cities can reduce visibility, making the phenomenon harder to observe even when it is present. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how all these factors overlap. Temperature, nutrients, tides, and darkness do not act alone. They align briefly, allowing living light to appear across the water in a calm, shifting pattern that fades as conditions change again. Earth's upper atmosphere shifts gently as solar wind interacts with the magnetosphere. And during equinox periods, this interaction can become slightly more efficient due to the alignment between Earth's magnetic field and incoming charged particles. This condition is associated with increased geomagnetic activity, sometimes described through the Russell-McFerrin effect, where auroral displays become more frequent and slightly more widespread across higher latitudes. Something subtle happens here, where invisible magnetic structures shape visible light in the sky. At the horizon, another rare optical detail can appear during sunrise or sunset. Known as the green flash, it occurs when sunlight is refracted and dispersed through layers of the atmosphere, briefly separating colors just enough for a green edge to become visible for a moment. You might notice how precise atmospheric clarity and a stable horizon are required for this to be seen, making it dependent on very specific conditions. Cloud formations also respond to shifting air mass boundaries during seasonal transitions. As warmer and cooler air systems interact, pressure differences can create layered or unusually structured cloud patterns that move slowly across the sky. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as large-scale atmospheric motion often produces patterns that feel structured, yet arise from fluid dynamics. Sound propagation can also change slightly during these periods. Variations in temperature and wind layers affect how sound waves travel through the atmosphere, sometimes allowing distant noises to carry farther or fade differently than expected. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how air itself becomes a medium that subtly reshapes perception, depending on how its layers are arranged above the surface.
Soil temperatures begin to rise slowly after winter, and beneath the surface, fungal mycelium networks respond in quiet, coordinated ways. These thread-like structures, spread across vast areas underground, become more active once temperature thresholds reach a stable range. Growth resumes gradually, with microscopic filaments extending into new soil spaces, searching for moisture and organic material. Something subtle happens here as activity increases without any visible sign above ground. Chemical signaling plays a key role in this process. Plants and fungi exchange compounds through root systems, creating a shared communication network that supports early seasonal growth. Sugars and nutrients move in exchange for minerals, allowing both systems to stabilize after colder months. You might notice how this interaction remains entirely hidden, yet it supports everything that grows above the soil line. As conditions continue to warm, underground biomass expands at a steady pace. Fungal networks extend outward, connecting with roots of trees and plants, forming complex associations that influence water uptake and nutrient distribution. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as much of what supports visible ecosystems exists in this unseen structure beneath the ground. Decomposition also accelerates during this period. Fallen leaves, organic debris, and dormant matter from winter are gradually broken down, returning nutrients to the soil. This recycling process supports new plant growth, maintaining balance within the ecosystem. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how nothing is wasted. Material transitions continuously through different forms, guided by biological processes that operate beneath perception, yet shape the entire seasonal landscape above.
Cold air still lingers from winter in higher latitudes, while warmer air begins to rise from heating land surfaces. And these contrasting air masses often meet in the early spring atmosphere. When they collide, the boundary between them becomes unstable, allowing air to rise rapidly and form clouds with strong vertical development. Something subtle happens here, where small differences in temperature can shape large-scale atmospheric movement. Storm systems during this period tend to form quickly. The ground warms faster than large bodies of water, creating sharp temperature gradients over short distances. This imbalance encourages rising air currents, which can intensify precipitation processes in a relatively short time. You might notice how a clear sky can gradually shift into layered cloud cover, then transition into rainfall without long warning periods. The jet stream also plays a quiet but important role. As winter weakens, its position and strength begin to fluctuate, shifting north and south in response to changing temperature patterns. These movements can guide storm systems along different paths, sometimes accelerating their development or altering their direction. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as high-altitude wind patterns influence weather experienced at ground level in subtle but persistent ways. Surface heating adds another layer to this system. As sunlight increases, the ground absorbs more energy, warming the air directly above it. This rising warmth contributes to convection, allowing air parcels to lift more easily into cooler layers of the atmosphere. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how energy from the sun, filtered through the surface, becomes the starting point for dynamic atmospheric change that unfolds across the entire season.
The solar wind streams continuously from the sun, carrying charged particles that interact with Earth's magnetosphere, a protective magnetic field surrounding the planet. As these particles approach Earth, they are guided and deflected by magnetic forces, but the efficiency of this interaction can vary depending on the alignment between the solar wind's magnetic orientation and Earth's field. During equinox periods, this alignment becomes more favorable for energy transfer, allowing more charged particles to enter near polar regions. Something subtle happens here, where geometry in space influences activity within Earth's upper atmosphere. This seasonal alignment effect can lead to increased geomagnetic disturbances. The magnetosphere responds dynamically with fluctuations that ripple through its structure. You might notice how these changes are not visible at ground level, yet they shape conditions far above the surface. Energy is redistributed along magnetic field lines, especially near the poles, where auroral activity becomes more frequent and slightly more widespread. Satellite systems operating in low Earth orbit can experience small variations in signal stability during these periods. Communication signals that pass through the ionosphere may also be affected by changes in electron density, creating subtle shifts in transmission quality. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as much of modern communication depends on a region of space that is constantly influenced by solar activity. Auroras become more visible when these conditions align, appearing as soft arcs of light in polar skies. Charged particles collide with atmospheric gases, releasing energy in the form of visible light. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how invisible magnetic structures guide both technological systems and natural light displays, connecting space weather to experiences that unfold quietly above Earth's horizon.
Seasonal conditions shift gradually as Earth continues its orbit, and the spring equinox marks a specific geometric moment where the sun aligns with the celestial equator. From a physical standpoint, everything remains governed by predictable orbital mechanics, yet the experience on the surface can feel slightly different. Something subtle happens here, where multiple natural systems appear to change at once, even though each is following its own steady rhythm. You might notice how temperature, daylight, and ecological activity begin to adjust within a similar time window. This overlap creates the impression of sudden transformation. In reality, the changes are incremental, building slowly over weeks. The atmosphere warms a little each day, plant growth responds to increasing light, and animal behavior adjusts in measured steps. The sense of a single turning point is more about perception than abrupt physical change. Across the planet, different systems interact during this period. The atmosphere becomes more dynamic as temperature gradients shift. Oceans continue redistributing stored heat from previous seasons. Biological cycles respond to daylight duration, adjusting internal timing mechanisms that have developed over long evolutionary periods. It's worth pausing on that idea for a moment, as these systems are connected yet operate independently, each following its own natural schedule. There's a quiet detail worth noticing in how the equinox itself does not create change, but instead aligns with ongoing processes already in motion. The geometry of Earth and Sun simply reaches a balanced point, while everything else continues its gradual transition. The result is a period that feels active and layered, not because of a disruption, but because multiple slow-moving systems briefly appear synchronized in time. A quiet moment at the end of this journey, and a simple thank you for staying until here. Your time and attention are what give meaning to every detail shared in this episode. If you are not yet subscribed to Relaxing Facts Studio, this is the right time to join the channel and become part of this growing space of calm discovery. If the video gave you something valuable or peaceful, consider sharing it with others on your social media so they can experience it too. A like also helps more than it seems, supporting the video to reach more viewers who enjoy this kind of slow, thoughtful content. And if you feel like it, leave a comment with your thoughts or the ideas that stayed with you. It helps shape future episodes in a meaningful way. Your support keeps this channel alive, growing, and continuing this work.